Okay. All right. Well, we got Lori Watkins, man. So let's go. Let's see what she's talking about today.
Hello.
Hey, Lori, this is Brandon. How are you today?
Okay.
Good, I'm glad to hear that. I just saw that you had put out some information about a property on Woodbrook. So just wanted to confirm if you had interest in selling your property either now or sometime in the near future.
No, not right now. Uh, uh, but can I keep your number in case I do?
Yeah, that's for no problem. This is
Okay.
my
What company are you with?
I work with Hill Homes. We're in Columbus.
You're from Heels. Yes, I did send that to you. I wasn't sure. I thought it might be a scam.
Oh no.
Okay. Yes, I am interested in selling that property. Sorry.
Man, don't look at
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Look at that. You didn't even have to like confirm the no or anything like that. You really just you could have just not said Heels Holmes, and then it would have just totally fell apart. So, I mean, honestly, knowing that this was what a direct mail, right? Or no, she filled out information on our website.
Yeah.
Knowing that, that's a really heads up there. Because I mean, if you were just going through the motions, you could have been like going back to our follow up specialist training and been like, oh no 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 no, I'm not going to give you anything about my company. Just an independent home buyer. She would have immediately thought you were a scam, and then we would have not gone anywhere. But take a look at this. She straight up said no at the beginning of the call, and here we are. We're about to continue into a process call. Love it. Good job, dude.
I get it. Because what I'd be able to do is just take about 5 to 10 minutes just to confirm some of your property's conditions, and
Okay.
after that, I'll take this all back to the financial partners. They'll let us know exactly what your property qualifies for. My
Okay.
goal is just to provide as much information. That way, you're able to make a confident yes or no decision. And Lori, say if you do like a cash offer, that's great. If it's just a no, that's perfectly fine. At least you
Okay.
know what some of your options look like. Does that sound
Excellent.
fair?
Yeah, that sounds good because I'd prefer to be able to do it this way. I don't really want to go with a realtor and go through all that business.
Well, hey, I mean, I'm glad we connected. I know yesterday morning the finance team was stressing me out. They just closed on a few properties last week, and they have some funds. They're looking to allocate to another one ASAP. So,
Okay, yeah, I totally understand. I'm not in a huge hurry. I actually am supposed to meet with the attorney today to figure out how to go about getting moving forward with everything. So, um, his property was titled in survivorship deed, so I don't know what has to happen to actually put it make me the owner because it was in his name with me listed as the survivor. And so I'll find out from the attorney today. I meet with him at 4.
no problem. So just fill me up. So,
Okay. So no problem is a filler word for you. What we need to do, you're going right in and you're asking more motivation right here. We need to get back to the urgency question. We didn't actually ask. You're definitely ready to make a decision, right? Do you remember if you get to that in a little bit?
No, I think I got sidetracked on that
Okay.
when she mentioned all that.
She's obviously already, again, we can take from what she said, right? She said, no, no, I totally understand because she didn't let you finish. We're looking to allocate funds to another one ASAP. So maybe what we can do in the future, because I like how you did that. Like, man, yesterday morning I was in a meeting with my finance team, and they were stressing me out. We just closed on a few properties, and they have some funds that they're looking to allocate to another one ASAP. She took that as extreme urgency from us, and she wanted to correct you immediately because she's coming off like she's not in a huge hurry, obviously because she has this attorney situation now that we know. So in the future, maybe tone it down a little bit because she goes at the beginning, doesn't she say, does she say anything? about her urgency at all? No, yeah, you're kind of going in blind. Honestly, I like that you're trying to like come out of your box a little bit here. Just unfortunately, this seller cut you off. So we want to make sure we get back to you're definitely ready to make a decision, right? And what you could do is right after she meets with an attorney, be like, oh, okay, great. Like, that's huge. Thanks for letting me know. You got an attorney that you're working with to help out with the survivorship deed. That's great. Now, I was just more so curious because the partners, they do got funds that they're looking to allocate. If we are able to come to an agreement and your attorney gives you the green light to be able to sell the property, you're definitely ready to make a decision, right? That's how I would do it in that case. But let's go ahead and we gave permission to say no. Got a question mark here.
What interests you in a cash offer route versus a traditional?
I know how hard it is to sell properties with realtors, and I don't want to mess with all that. Plus, a friend of mine, her kids used you guys when she sold her condo, and it went so smoothly that I felt confident giving you a call.
Okay. We work with 20 of your friends.
Her kids, one of my friends, her kids, when they sold her daughter and son-in-law, when they sold their condo and bought their house, they didn't want to use a realtor for their condo, so they used you guys, and they had nothing but good things to say. So,
Hey, I'm always trying to see it all. I know you mentioned that it's just kind of hard to list with realtors. What is like?
I don't want to do all the fixing up. I don't want to do all the fixing up. I don't want to mess with open houses or showings or any of that business. Because this place needs some help. I will be honest. It needs help. My uncle did not do any updating. It needs a lot of, if I were to go with a realtor, they'd have me do a lot of, like painting and getting rid of the flooring and putting in new flooring. And I don't want to do all that stuff. I don't want to put the money into it.
Yeah, I mean, painting is no joke. I just started painting, and I mean, so with going like the traditional and going the cash offer route, you feel like there'd be a lot more benefit going this way. You have to go on the market.
Less stress.
So
Stress. I don't need any more.
what I would do here, instead of, you're like, yeah, I mean, painting is no joke. I just started painting. And then, so with going like the traditional, go like, you know what? She just gave you a whole bunch of stuff, right? When a seller starts to just dump on you all their information, just everything about it, you got to recap her. This is where you can show your active listening, right? How I would do that is be like, all right, hey, Lori, I just want to make sure I've got everything straight here. All right, so you've got a house. You don't want to fix it up. You don't want to mess with the open houses or showings. You know the realtor is going to ask you to do some paint and get rid of the flooring, putting in new flooring, and you just don't want to do all that stuff, and you don't want to put any of the money into it. Am I missing anything here? See if there's anything else she wants to do. Right? And if she gives you anything other than a yes or no response, then continue to dive into the more and more that she brings up. Okay. Because at this point, she may go, no, not with the house. And then she may pivot into dealing with the survivorship situation. We want to now gather information that way. That would be a better way, I think, to transition here. You just needed a response. And one way to do that when a seller just dumps on you, you just recap. Got to show that active listening. She already trusts us to an extent because of her relationship with a friend or a family member, I believe. Was it a friend or family? Friend.
Someone's daughter.
Someone's daughter, yeah, right? Okay. So she already has some level of trust with us naturally, especially, at the beginning of the call, she right off the bat, once you said I'm with Heels Homes, she was like, oh, you're Heels. Okay, great. That's who I wanted to talk to. Total different conversation now. So the more you can recap her here, ask her if you're missing anything, maybe she'll correct you. Maybe she'll be like, nope, you got it all right there. And now you can start talking about picture perfect.
Okay.
I was starting to like mention like, you know how like for landlords, I'll say, yeah, I was doing this. Something more about experience. Then I like cut myself off because I realized it was just taken away from her.
Right, because she doesn't sound like she's gone through that experience yet. So you'd be using that with someone who is probably less experienced than what you're dealing with. So that's why it's hard to do that. You want to make sure with that tactic, you're only using with sellers that it's like a current pain point. Right. It's like they've been dealing with this, not someone who is trying to prevent having to do this. Right. So this is someone who's going to be goal oriented. And so you want to just recap her, make sure that she she knows that she's able to say anything else that can come to mind right here. Because there's really no need to pick at any of this stuff. I don't want to dive into the place needs help, because then you're going to go into that rabbit hole of property conditions and we're going to be away from motivation. We don't really need that. She has like some stressors here where she's saying that she doesn't want to do all the fixing up. You know, she knows that a realtor is going to tell her that she needs to do X, Y, and Z, that she does not want to do all that stuff. And she does not want to put any money into it. So those are three key factors that you can dive into after you find out her picture perfect. Remember, this isn't something like you're like, oh, you don't want to put any money into it. Why not? Like, I don't want to ask that. I don't want to go into that. I would rather find out, recap. She goes, oh, no, you got it all down, Brandon. Great job. Right. No, she ain't going to say it like that. But then you just go, well, shoot, Lori, sounds like you got yourself you got yourself a property on your hands that you don't really want to deal with. What would be your picture perfect goal? What's your picture perfect plan with this thing? And then, based on what she tells you, you can deviate back to her pain points. Like, so that's why you're not trying to put any money into it. You're trying to keep up with the mortgage on your own property right now. See how now you can now obviously I'm assuming, I don't know.
It's like plug it back and forth and like start painting that picture.
Where you start connecting those dots. For her, nothing's snowballed yet for her. She sounds hippity skippity, tons of enthusiasm, great, probably a great lady to talk to until you tell her something that she doesn't want to hear.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep moving. That was a good coaching point there. Okay.
Oh, I think I was sneezing or something. We're going.
You were sneezing or something? That's like a super long pause. So if that's the case, you got to read the seller. You could probably tell her like, oh my gosh, I might actually sneeze right here. And you might get some like stupid little, whatever. And be like, gosh, sorry about that. Ridiculous allergies. So with less stress, how would it feel to be able to, get things handled off your plate? Actually, I would not say that, but she let's just say this. She says less stress. I've got enough stress. I don't eat anymore. I want you to hear the way she says it, okay?
Stress.
Cash offer route. You feel like there'd be a lot more benefits going this way? Do you have to put on the market?
Less stress. I've got enough stress. I don't need any more.
So with less stress, how would it feel just to be able to get things handled off your plate?
Oh, it'd be great.
I mean, of course she's going to answer it that way.
I've heard someone use that point, and I just recently started using it.
Yeah, but my only concern is that, like, did the seller say that specifically? I can't remember. Did she say she wanted it off her plate?
No.
What did she say? Her version of saying that. Because I want to use the same wording that the sellers use, right?
She said that she pretty much was naming it off, like how she didn't want to do the paint and like go to the showings.
So this is what you do here. So with less stress, Lori, how would it feel just to be able to not have to deal with, the showings, heck, the realtor telling you to paint it and replace take the flooring out, put the flooring back in, how would it feel to not have to deal with those things?
So like when we're plugging it.
That is how I would ask that, but I would save that. I think right now you're too early in finding out what like her distressors. Okay, so she gave you some distress, 3 items of potential distress in the previous. Our first coaching point was, hey, we're going to try to recap the seller and then ask them their picture perfect here, because they gave us a ton of stuff, right? We got 3 items out of it. Now that we've found out that information, we found out the picture perfect, we found out here that she is now saying less stress. I've got enough stress. I don't need any more. We need an impact question here. One that's different. With less stress, how would it feel just to be able to get things handled off your plate? This is more of a situational question. I just want something like, we should just ask a very simple impact question here. I'd be like, yeah, Lori, I can appreciate, nobody wants any stress. Tell me more about your situation. Or, tell me more about what you like. What do you mean by less stress? Like, how you could ask is, how does selling the property help you accomplish this?
Like something completely different she might bring up that I didn't uncover.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, we don't know how much is on the mortgage yet. We don't know any of that information. We don't even know the conditions of the property. We need to find out, hey, is this seller in a distress mode, or is she just one of your classic people who is a survivorship deed or inherited a property, is going through probate or just finished probate, and they just don't want the property and they're looking for cash? We need to find out if she's like that, or if there's some seriousness behind the not wanting to put it on the market, not wanting to have to fix up the property, and not having the money for it. She gave us less stress here. I think, honestly, and this is probably a good thing, is keep it very simple and just say, when you say less stress, then what do you mean? I know that sounds so simple, and a lot of times, keep it simple, stupid. And for a seller like this, she is telling you everything. Talk less. If you have a seller that is willing and open and telling you everything and it's all relevant to the conversation, talk less. Ask more simple impact questions. She's going to keep going. You just got to keep her in the right direction. And one way you can do that is, hey, I want to talk about stress specifically here. Hey, Lori, when you say less stress, what do you mean by that? There is nothing wrong with that. And I think a lot of people misunderstand that something as simple as saying that with a seller who's very open and honest with you so far, it'll go a long way.
That's why I'm calling you guys. So what do you need to know about the place in order to think about an offer?
How it would feel just to be able to get things handled off your plate came off as possibly assuming or making a suggestion. And what does she do right here? Immediately goes to pivot to something logical. Yeah. Crazy how that works.
Yeah, I remember that. I was like, oh.
Yeah, and you can feel it, right? And so that's why I think keeping it simple and just being, hey, well, Lori, when you say less stress, what do you mean by that? Use your tonality to make it more appealing to hear, right? I know, I guess the difference is your tonality when you say, hey, when you say less stress, what do you mean by that? You don't want to say, when you say less stress, what do you mean by that? That sounds horrible. Be involved with the conversation. Be like, well, Lori, when you say less stress, what do you mean? Try to be curious. She's already pretty enthusiastic, but you can just tell immediately. It's kind of drifted there.
Yeah.
So that would be like, because it sounds like we're about to go into the property conditions here. The takeaway from the beginning of this call, I think if nothing were to change, this is your pivot point right here, is we didn't dive into the less stress. Now, fortunately, we were able to turn this into a deal after, but that would be the turning point of the conversation. Remember how it forks into 2 different ways? You can either go right into property conditions too early, or it can continue down the path of motivation. We unfortunately we kind of closed ourselves off right here.
one thing that people do like about working with us, the partners, they're flexible when it comes to the closing timeline. And on average, they close anywhere between 21 to 24 days. That's just because a lot of people we work with, they're looking to close much sooner. However, they understand that everyone's situation is different and some people do need more time. What is the timeline that would work best for you?
That 21 to 24 is fine with me.
21 to 24.
Yeah, anytime. I mean, if we could close before the end of June, that would be fabulous.
Okay. Good job.
And then I can wait till July. It doesn't matter. I can. I'll pay the mortgage on it and pay the condo fees and keep it going until we can get it closed.
Because I was gonna say, like, assume you liked their cash offer and decided you wanted to move forward. Was there anything that you still needed to figure out then?
Are you sure you don't ask the influencer before timeline?
Well, I mean, I know.
Yeah, so normally I'll do timeline, then go to influencer. But then, like, I think in this situation, since she said like 21, 24 days, and she mentioned all the stuff she had to do, I think I went into the Roblox section and then I went to.
I just want to make sure we didn't miss it in the recording. That's all.
Anything at all?
Well, I mean, I know he's got a mortgage on it. He owes like $32,000. I just have to figure out how to.
She owes $32,000.
I'd have to talk to the bank and get that taken care of to figure that out. But no, everything else is fine.
Okay. And a lot of times, I'm usually just talking to one person on the down. Is there anyone else that you still need to run things by first before making any decisions?
Nope, it's just me. I'm the executor on the will, and I'm the one. There isn't anybody else. He didn't have anybody else.
Okay. That makes things much easier. It was 2 weeks ago, someone's sister stopped by.
It's unnecessary.
Like her brother in it let her know.
This right here, totally unnecessary. Don't need to do this.
Just go right into like any friends.
No, I would just double confirm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. But, okay, so I just wasn't sure, like, Yanni, do you specifically have any friends or family members that are going to be upset you didn't tell them that you're selling property or anything crazy like that? That's like that's how you handle this situation. I honestly, I have no idea why you're even going down this road. Like, why are you saying this?
I forget is that usually when we like triple confirm because they were kind of like not like holding back an influencer that came up. When do we?
You're talking to her as if like you're getting resistance from her. Like you're trying to justify by why we're asking this question for someone who's not giving you any resistance. Right? So you're probably just out of habit with how much resistance we do face in calls, and you're probably just out of habit going down this direction. Totally unnecessary. This lady doesn't need to be sold on anything. She already likes us. Every time you do something like this would be the second time now on this call, she usually turns a corner of not really wanting to talk anymore, or her tonality kind of shifts a little bit in a way that doesn't sound great for us. So just something to think about. If you got a seller that's not resisting you, try to just be chill. You don't got to justify everything that you're asking. I know it's weird. We normally get sellers that are always, why are you asking that question? It's like, oh my gosh, man, what happened? We were having such a great convo, and now you're mad at me because I asked if someone else is going to be upset. It sounds like someone is going to be upset if you decide that you are going to, you know what I'm saying? So we're so used to dealing with that. I want to make sure that we don't, we don't use that for everyone we talk to, especially someone like this who already pretty much sees value in working with us,
Sure. Like no one would get up out you can at least speak with them.
Absolutely not. It's just me.
Okay. Double confirm.
So, Lori, the cash offer, as I'm sure you're aware, this is what you do walk away with in your pocket, just minus any mortgage, liens, or any back taxes. You do not pay any closing costs. You do not pay realtor commissions. They will purchase completely as is. So that means you don't do any of those repairs, cleaning, and you'll be able to work on your timeline. I know you're, handling the stake here as the executor.
Dude,
And
why are you saying like you just threw out your offer right here? Like your offer script. You basically read the offer script, yeah? We're about to ask ballpark. How do we do that?
Just
We do
motivation.
the recap, right?
Yeah.
Why are you going all through this? This is all super like logical. We don't want to have any of that right now.
I think before I used to always do that. I know since then we've talked about just recap motivation and then to double confirm on price. Well, knowing that it's as is, you don't do any repairs, cleaning.
Bro, I don't know about you, but when I look at our script and it says for the money piece, this is all we say. Based on everything you told me, and then brief recap mini presentation. So just rail off like, hey, it sounds like you're a survivorship to like you're like you got the property now. You're about to get the green light from your attorney whether or not you could or couldn't sell it. Sounds like you mentioned you don't want to do X, Y, and Z with the property. You don't want to pay for the repairs. You don't want to deal with what the realtor is going to tell you to deal with. I mean, shoot, what do you feel is a fair price for the property? And then she tells you, then you go, okay, well, knowing that you'd be selling it as is, you don't pay any closing costs. You don't pay any realtor fees. There's no commissions involved. You don't have to pay for any repairs. What do you feel is a fair price? She may come down $5,000. That is how we should ask price, the money piece, in the process call. Okay, so get back into that habit. I know you have a copy of your script with you. This is the easiest way to stay on track. This right here, this is too much. This is too much. This is why we do this in the offer call, right? Here, I just need to know her price, and I want her to tell me it based on her emotion. We need to get her into that emotional state. None of that is getting her into an emotional state. And remember, a lot of her motivation is logic backed, right? So like, I don't want to do the, there could be like, she could easily fall back into logic with those motivations. So this right here, save this for the offer call. Say it just like how it's scripted. It works. And you're talking to someone who's not resisting you. So I would ask it directly like that. Your brief mini cap. I mean, shoot, she gave you a whole bunch of bullet points at the beginning, but all you have to really remember is the 3 reasons, right? Okay, so she's a survivorship. She doesn't want to sell it on the market with a realtor because the realtor is going to tell like the repairs and things. She doesn't want to do that. And she doesn't have the money to do all of that. So those are like 3 key things that you can just bring back up to her in a brief recap. Get her price, double confirm with the analytics there, right? Or the logic there with the, okay, so well, what about if you sell it as is, which means no repairs for you, no cleaning, no realtor commissions, no additional fees, no random fees. What do you feel is a fair price knowing that? That's how we want to do that. All right, let's move on. You tracking on that?
Yes.
Okay.
To go a route that's more easier where you don't have to do any paintings, list it on the market, go through that whole process. With all that being said, what do you feel is a fair price for the property?
Well, when I talk to, I have a friend who's a realtor, and of course she wants me to list it. When I talked to her, she said the fair market value would, in her opinion, in the condition it's in, 80. And I know something less than that, whatever. I mean, I get that. So I know it would be less than that, and I'm fine with that. Just somewhere below 80, I know that. And whether that would be 10% below or 15 or 20%, I don't know. But I'm interested to hear what the offer might be.
I do have a question.
And can I
Sellers are funny.
So in my head, I already knew 80,000 wouldn't work, and I know she's flexible. So part of me was thinking if I like try to like get her to say like ask again like a lower number. Now it seems like I'm not having the right intention. Would you still want to like double confirm on that? Or do you think that's good enough there since I know she's flexible with the 80K?
If you're ever fearful in saying something to a seller and worried that it might derail the conversation, use proactive tactical empathy in the way you say it. Hey, Lori, the last thing I want to do is come off like a total jackwagon. The partners would be selling buying the property completely as is. So that means you don't have to do any of those repairs. You don't got to do any cleaning. You'd be selling it off the market, so you don't have to pay any realtor fees. There's no commissions involved. Knowing that, what do you feel is a fair price? That's how I would approach it. And that's at any situation within the call. If you ever are in a call where you feel like afraid to ask a question, no matter what the question is, no matter what the seller is doing or saying, proactive tactical empathy that we always train on is what's going to help you with that. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It is what it is. Sometimes you're not going to be able to talk through to everybody. But someone like this, if you're afraid to ask something, how just put yourself in the seller's shoes as best as you can and just think about you and just be like, how much, if you were irate and then someone just, over the phone hits you with, what, Brandon, I got to be honest, like I don't want to come off like just a total jerk here, but I'm actually just genuinely curious, knowing that you'd be selling the property as is, or knowing that we can do X, Y, and Z. And you see what I'm saying? That's how you can, tactical empathy proactively is going to help set the stage for your question.
That makes
So just use that, right? But I think what will help this situation out the most is your recap. Your brief recap when asking price is going to help you out way more than any coaching point I can give you through this, because we didn't do what we were supposed to do to begin with, to the best of our ability. If we would have done that and she still responded like this, hey, maybe we can go a different direction. So I can't tell you if you double confirm right now using proactive tactical empathy, I don't know if that would work better here in this situation, because we didn't really set the stage by doing a full recap. Now, I like having the odds are you got a 50-50 shot and you miss every shot you don't take. You already didn't really get the answer you wanted, and she's kind of all over the place with price and now somewhere below 80,000. I'm more so curious about what she said here. And of course, she wants me to list it. Huh? Sorry about that. I'm getting a call. But I think you have a 50-50 shot if you ask that question after this, the way the call is going right now, of her just telling you straight up the answer you want, or she may just move on and not even really acknowledge it.
I just text or email those pictures to the same, I responded to the email that came. Can I just send it back to that?
I'll give you my email, because I'll wanted it to send a couple of links. Did she by chance see our?
So money, we got like 80K or less. Nice job. Saw our TV commercial.
Because I'll just do this anyways. I'll send over an email and I'll include a couple links. That way you can check us out in the meantime. And then I'll look out for those photos. I'll just get this all back to them. Do you know about what time? I know you're going to be meeting with your attorney as well to sort out the survivorship, the process.
I'd probably be able to get over there around, I'm thinking probably 2:30.
2:30. Okay.
It's good.
I'll probably be at his place around 2:30, so you'll have the pictures no later than 3. Definitely.
Okay. And then in the meantime, once I get those photos, I'll just it's going to take like 30 minutes. I'll run this all back to the financial partners. They'll let me know exactly what your property qualifies for. And then
Okay.
I'll give you another phone call. That call should only take 5 minutes. And then we're going to walk you through exactly what it looks like if you decide to work with us. And most importantly, what the property qualifies for. All that they ask is that you're able to make a confident yes or no decision. And if it's something that you do like and want to proceed with, that's great. If it's just a no, again, at least you know what your options look like.
All right. Awesome job there. Just flip flop what you're saying most importantly too. It's actually more important to let her know what it looks like if they decide, well, like what it looks like to work with us. The number is actually the easiest part and least important part. We don't want to set that stage accidentally for important and most importantly, the property qualifies for. No.
And they don't listen to the process.
Right. So we don't want to back ourselves into a corner. So just flip flop that. Other than that, that was pretty solid. She says what she did.
I appreciate that. Well, I think we've got a plan.
That sounds perfect. And I want to confirm for your email, it's LoriLu227@gmail.com.
That's me.
All right. I'll send my email over, and then I'll just look forward to the pictures. And then
Okay.
you want to plan a call for 4:00?
Ask her.
Well,
Ask her.
could we do 4:30?
4:30 is fine. Or if
Okay.
you want to do either 5, I don't want you to feel that you're...
I'll be done with the attorney by 4:30, so that should be fine.
Okay.
Yeah. If you want to call sometime between.
Yeah, I see how I just went back and forth.
I'll be here.
All right. The rest is just nonsense talk for the last minute here. Takeaways from the call. Big thing at the beginning is making sure that we get a yes or no from the urgency. We didn't even get to finish and ask specifically, right? Luckily, throughout the call, she's a good seller. The second thing here is when it comes to the situation, what I would like to see more so when a seller just info dumps on us is do a good recap with the seller. And then just simply ask, am I missing anything? Did I got everything down? See if she corrects you or not. If she says, yeah, you got everything, Brandon, no problem, whatever, and you move on from the conversation, then transition into her picture perfect. That picture perfect response is then going to let you tie and connect the dots to those 3 pain points that she info dumped on you, right? But she just gave you a lot of information. Let's just move on. And it didn't sound like pain points. If anything, it just sounded like motivation in general for someone who's got a survivorship deed. So picture perfect is important. The last thing with roadblocks, the part with we got a timeline, no problem. That was great. Influencers, that was no problem. We got that there. The discomfort piece, we got owes $32K. There was nothing else. The money, remember, stick to the script. It hasn't failed us yet. Stick to the script, read that verbatim, and then if you're doing really good with your active listening, or if you took really good notes from the call, your brief recap mini presentation is almost just going to be identical to really what you recapped her at the beginning of the call, right? To say, do I got everything there? Instead of saying, do I got everything there? You're just recapping her to get her back into that mindset. And then asking her simply what she feels is a fair price, making sure that we don't go into the property conditions, or the offer call script a little too soon. So that's when that information is going to be important. Those are, I think, the big takeaways from the call. Do you got anything that you would like to add or contribute to the process call for Lori Watkins?
No, I think if I would have just, like you said, just kept it simple. She was, she had a lot of energy. She was telling me everything, and then when I started talking too much, I just kind of veered her off or what she wanted to say, and I was leading the situations down a rabbit hole where she can just open up, and I feel like I missed an opportunity for her to mention something outside of the benefits of working with us. So that was one of the biggest points I took out.
Good. Remember, sellers that seem like walks in the park, that are just layups for you, talk less. The less you talk, the better that call is going to go.
Sure.